Hello! For today's adventure of Roundabout with Dan, we are with my dad here, Harvey Swigert, and we are at Heritage USA. Got the tower over here, and then over here is a cafe which was inspired by the Crystal Palace over at Disney World. As you can see, the tower is in a bit of disrepair, and we'll tell you a little bit of the story behind that. This whole place was built by Jim and Tammy Faye Bakker and all of the people that gave generous donations to this organization. And sadly, what happened was Jim Bakker oversold timeshares to this gigantic tower here. And unfortunately, my dad unfortunately bought into one of them. And the hope was that we would be able to visit something like 2 days a year. But Jim sold maybe 3 or 4 times the number of timeshares that existed, and as a result ended up going to prison. So it didn't work out so well. But anyway, very interesting. I always love to check out kind of what would you say, kind of abandoned buildings and stuff like that. But part of this park actually still exists, and so we're going to go to check out not only the tower, but the barn where they shot the TV program. That's still around. There's like a prayer room called the Upper Room, inspired by the Last Supper, and then there's this Crystal Palace-like place over here. All this stuff was inspired by Disney World. There's this goal to build kind of like a Christian version of Disney World, and then the Main Street part, which is again very derivative of Disney World's Main Street USA. So we're going to check that out because that's all decorated for Christmas. So we thought this would be a great time of year to come down. We hadn't been here since I don't know, the mid 80s, something like that. So we thought this would be a fun little field trip and kind of almost like going to a museum in a way to kind of explore this bit of American history from the 1980s. So join us and we will check out all the different things there are to see here. So here we are at the Upper Room. This is based on the story where Jesus had the Last Supper. And so this is kind of like a prayer room that they used to use. And actually, apparently they're still using, and it looks like they're also having worship services over here. I'm gonna walk in a little bit. And let me see if I can show you. Here we go. So anyway, this is that Roman leader, Pontius Pilate. When they wanted to have Jesus crucified, he agreed to go ahead with it, but he wanted to wash his hands of the whole thing. Oh, that's Jesus right there. You got your crown of thorns, so that's pretty clear. And he's got his hands in kind of shackles there, and this looks like probably one of the Roman soldiers or something. And I'm guessing this is probably maybe one of the Pharisees or Sadducees. Let's cruise on over here to the Upper Room. So this whole idea here is that you go in here and you can do spend some time in prayer. They have like little rooms upstairs there where you can do say your prayers. Oh, it's interesting. We have a grave here. I didn't realize. A pastor and friend, a loving father and husband. He loved everyone and they all loved him. In memory of all those who knew him. Aubrey Sarah. I wonder if he's some relation to the Bakkers. Honestly, don't know the answer to that. Might have to do some post-production and figure out who some of these people are. Some of them died recently. 1990 was around the time that Heritage USA kind of came to an end. So some of these people have lived new people have taken over this whole thing. This is the Christine Ballman Memorial Garden. dedicated in 2021, so this is pretty new, this part of it. So I think the people that took over this place, it could be that those people that are buried actually have to do with the current owners, maybe more so than anything having to do with Jim and Tammy Faye Bakker. But that will be something that I will have to look up, because I just don't know the answer to it. Here you have the 10 Commandments. And this is dedicated to the people who built the Upper Room, Heritage USA. Definitely kind of captured that whole look and feel that you would imagine you would see in anyway, we're going to take a look inside. All right, so now we're going into the upper room.
We got in the hotel, you know, and we were down several years in a row.
Oh, and when was this?
Well, it had to be a long time ago, because I'm 92, and I can't remember what I did yesterday, and I can't remember names at all.
Well, when I first come here, there was nothing here.
Yeah.
I was one of two people assigned to this property when Jim Bakker bought it.
Yeah.
And I'm still here.
Yeah.
So, and that was 1978, so it didn't been too long ago.
Yeah. Well, I was trying to think when Jimmy and Tammy were here, they had, I think it was the Johnsons were singers. And I don't know, I think they did something besides sing too.
Oh, they did.
But that was one of their things, and I think they had a home here.
They did, but it was down in Lake Valley.
Oh, okay. And I suppose they're gone now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Tammy Faye's passed. Jim's in Missouri.
Jim's in Missouri?
Yeah.
I still saw, I think I've seen him on television within the last year.
You can get him on the internet. He's
Yeah.
got the PTL television network.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's still on.
But what I heard,
These are the individual prayer rooms.
all this stuff was gone.
Well,
So you just have a little seat there for a person to have a little privacy. Maybe some little lights that kind of like little candle type lights. And the whole idea was that the upper room was a place to go and have some quiet time to pray. So they had all these different rooms, you see. And there's like the kind of this chapel area over here.
getting a little up in the years, and some of them are gone. Mostly now it's just people passing by.
Yeah. So they're not necessarily like us where they actually were there back in the day.
Yeah,
They're just some. I know there's some vloggers that come by and do shows about it, because that's how I found out that it still existed.
Oh yeah, they do.
Yeah.
Yeah. I retired from the Army June the 30th, 1976. Moved to Virginia. July the 5th, I was at PTL and had a job.
Oh, yeah?
And the first person that I spoke to in 1976 is going to be down here in a minute.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, really? That's wild.
She
Got a
was,
history with her.
she was the usher
Yeah?
at when PTL was on Park Road
Oh, yeah.
before it came here.
Yeah.
Did you ever meet Jim and Tammy?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
oh yeah. Well, Jim has been here since we reopened this.
Oh, has he? Yeah.
How does he feel, I wonder, about it now?
Well, Jim is not well. He had a stroke a couple of years ago,
Oh, yeah?
and he's in pretty bad shape.
Yeah. Is Jimmy's daughter and son still doing something? I know that last I heard the
She
son
is-
was...
She is running
had some-
the ministry in Missouri,
Okay.
and I don't know where the son is right now, but he's got a ministry somewhere.
Somebody told me he had like a motorcycle type ministry, the son.
Yeah, I'm not really sure.
Yeah, I don't know.
The original pastor was up the room buried right there,
Yeah.
right here. Remember Albert Sarah?
Yeah.
He's buried right there.
Oh, wow.
I'll be there.
That's probably what saved this place.
Yeah.
He's buried here, and they couldn't
Is that
dig
right?
him up or something. I don't know.
I saw his son, actually, Jim Bakker's son, was on a radio show interview with Frankie Schaefer.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
keep up with him.
Yeah.
I'm getting too old too. I'm
Yeah.
85.
Yeah. Well, you're getting close to me.
So this is the entrance to the hotel over here, and we came in through the other side eventually, which we will show you in a little bit. And this Bob Jones Vision Center, I think this was some sort of information center or ticket booth or something or other for the park. And then over here, this body of water, there used to be paddle boats over here, and then there was a water slide somewhere near where some of these homes are at. And actually you can see some of the kind of, I don't think those are real stones, or that was some kind of themed type work going on over there in the side there in the water. I think these were all different remnants of the park, the lights and different things in this building, and some different walkways over here. And then there's some cottages over here, and might have to research this, but they might have been part of the theme park as well. It seems like they are kind of themed that way. So that hotel we were showing you before, this is the kind of where you would check into your room originally. This was that spot. Obviously they're reusing it for other purposes now.
I want to say that for those of you that are still maybe struggling with a
It's
little
another
bit
part of the hotel lobby.
trauma,
Right now they're doing a church service over here, and this other end you got
freedom from the captivity of trauma. There's prayers in there that you can walk yourself through.
a huge
But just
stage there
understand
that they're doing church
trauma is
services.
not yours to bear. Jesus bore it.
Wow, this place, I don't know if I can really capture in video what it looks like to see this hotel. This is the timeshare that Jim Bakker oversold, and unfortunately my folks bought into it and ended up losing, I think it was like $1,000 or $2,000 because he oversold the timeshare. But look at that monstrosity, unbelievable. And as you can see, it never really got finished, and I don't know if they're using the bottom part of it at all. I've heard that there are people actually in this hotel over here, which we'll be able to walk into. I believe there are people that are living there currently. But this is the Heritage USA Towers. And we're actually going to pull out some binoculars so we can kind of get a closer look at some of these rooms, because it's kind of fenced off over here. You know, I had heard that inside this large hotel that there was a church that was meeting at the ground level, and I think maybe it says here construction in progress, so maybe that's still being worked on. One of the things I've learned from going to Heritage USA is it's not like there's a website where you can just go and find out what the hours are and what is open and when and where you go. So you almost kind of have to root around a bit to try to figure it out. So part of the reason for that is this whole thing is not owned by one person anymore. Different parts of it are owned by different people, different churches that meet at different places and everything else. So again, it's one of those things where you can't just go to one place and get all the information about this, what's currently going on here. So I'm gonna check this out and see if this is where the Main Street thing is at. So here we are. And this is the legendary Main Street.
This is the park that you see.
Yeah.
That we heard about. Yeah.
Yeah, I was telling you it was decorated up like Christmas.
Yeah.
See?
Right. Yeah.
So they preserved this. This is inside of a building. It's inspired by Main Street USA and Disney.
I want to walk right down the line and see if.
After not having been here since probably the mid-1980s, it's pretty mind-blowing seeing this again after all these years, especially considering the fact that it pretty much fell apart when Jim Bakker went to prison. This is the Main Street trolley. And a little...
Look at the trolley.
Yeah, and you know, if you want a little piece of trivia, Dad, there should be a number 33 on this trolley somewhere. Yeah, here it is. They kind of covered it up with a Christmas tree, Dad, but can you see the number 33 right here?
Oh, yeah?
That's... Guess why they have the number 33 on the trolley? Do you have any ideas?
No.
That was the number of years Jesus lived.
The what?
Jesus lived to
Oh,
be 33
33
years
years?
old. That was when he was crucified.
Yeah?
He was 30 years old when he started his ministry, and then he was crucified when he was 33. And of course, this is totally Disney inspired as well. So it's kind of this weird combination of...
I want to see what's in this thing that's open down here.
Yeah, they got a conference center. There's some kind of meetings going on there, and there was a coffee house in there. It's kind of beautiful the way they did this up for Christmas. This is really looks to be in pristine condition. It's just amazing that they preserved this thing. It just really blows my mind. This strange, it's like a fly in the amber, you know, this thing has been preserved like this. Yeah, so they got wreaths all the way along here. Kind of a false sky. Sometimes they have clouds and things projected up there. And this was done before they started doing that kind of stuff. If you go to certain hotels in Vegas, they kind of started doing this whole indoor thing where it's like a city inside of a building with all kinds of projections going on the ceiling. Right now they're not doing anything. But that from what I'm told, that this is one of the first places where somebody did something like this inside of a building. Kind of probably a smart choice, since we are at the border of North and South Carolina. Look at that Main Street Theater. So at any rate, being this far north, it was a smart idea to build this indoors, so you could be also probably allows them to take better care of it. Now, some of this architecture, like over here, I don't know, makes me think of It's a Small World. That Mary Blair kind of Art Deco-ish. I don't know what the term would be for that style, but there's a little coffee house. I think the coffee house is over here, and then there's like there's some services going on over there, so I didn't want to be too loud, interrupt anything. Of course, the whole idea of building a quote-unquote Christian Disney World is really kind of an insane proposition, because even if Jim Bakker was an honest man, I don't think there's any way in the world he could have raised enough money to build something like that. But there's that place in Florida that just closed down called the Holy Land, and they sort of did their own take on that kind of a thing. So I think there's been this desire on some people's parts to create a Christian theme park, not just Jim Bakker's idea, but I guess other people have tried to do it as well. Oh, look, Dad, I don't know if you looked inside the trolley, but they got all these little manger scene type characters here. And some other scenes too. This is probably the lion that Daniel had to face up. Was it Daniel that got...
This was probably a real trolley at one time that they probably refurbished.
Yeah. Yeah, so they got all these little scenes. Yeah, I think this was an original trolley from I don't think this, so yeah, I think they did preserve it. It's not a remaking of it. Down this hallway, there's some kind of interesting things. I was kind of referring to this place as a museum, and part of the reason for that is you have some of the original stuff. This is a dowel that Tammy Faye Bakker used to use for this children's show that she did. And there's some different ancillary products that were created. You could own your own version of that doll, and there were some videos that were made. Admission to the Passion Play show.
We got a picture of a couple here that used to sing here all the time.
Some pretty wild stuff. Over on the other side, we have some other things. Oh, I think I remember this book. Run to the Roar. I think I heard of that. I remember that picture.
There's some water in that.
Yeah, that's the
in
water.
that
They had a
picture.
big water slide.
Yeah.
That was not finished when we went down. We were there right before they, I think they were still building it at that time.
Yeah.
I wonder if this was their own newspaper.
Probably.
Yeah, it must be.
Heritage USA Herald, yeah.
Yeah. Because you know it wasn't the Charleston newspaper because they wouldn't be saying anything positive about it. They were kind of on to Jim's antics, if you will.
They were hounding this place all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, I think they were doing some investigative journalism.
Yeah.
Look at this, actual record.
The what?
It's a vinyl album picture disc.
Oh, yeah? I don't remember seeing any room like that down here. I wonder if that was a new room at the very end or something.
That looks like a
come down here.
shooting a studio shot,
Yeah.
you know. Yeah, so this part here kind of makes me think of a museum, really. Like, oh, here's the map, Dad, of the park. So you can see, obviously, the big hotel right there. And what else do we have? Somewhere there's got to be the water slide. I'm trying to figure out where's the... Oh, well, it's right in the middle. It's right in the middle there. Yeah, the pool and the water slide and that gazebo type building there.
Well, they show some boats right in there.
Right, yeah.
And there's a campground over here.
Right. Did we stay at the campground? Where did
No, we
can't remember
never
what we
stayed
did.
at the campground.
Were we at a hotel or something nearby?
Yeah.
We must have been, huh?
We were at a hotel nearby, and then when Mom and I came down a couple times, then one time we couldn't come down, so we gave it to the pastor from the Assembly of God in Batavia,
Ron.
and him and his wife came down.
Oh,
that
did they?
year.
Oh, wow.
Because we couldn't, for some reason or other, we couldn't go that year.
And Dino was this singer that was real popular. He was kind of like wasn't he a piano player or something, like a Liberace type guy?
I don't know.
Anyway, he was on the show apparently.
Oh, Dino. Oh, yeah, he was a famous person, but I can't think of his last name.
Yeah, I can't either.
Maybe that was his last name. I don't know.
He was obviously a popular guest,
He
I
looks
suppose.
familiar, though.
Yeah, yeah, I seem to remember him. Some old pictures from. So the park, I think, was going from like about 78
Yeah.
to about 89. And that's the water slide right there. There's a little coffee house over here, I mentioned. So if you are looking for something good to eat, right over on this end here, got some different neat bakery items. So while you're at the Main Street Park, you can pick up a little something, a little bite to eat if you want. So this is something called the Grand Ballroom. In all honesty, I don't remember what that was. Oh yeah, and I remember.
See what that was.
You know what?
Actually, it lights up the whole dining room.
This cafe was inspired by the Crystal Palace
Yeah.
at Disney World.
Oh, yeah?
I don't know if you remember, but Mom used to like to eat. It was a buffet.
Yeah.
At Disney World, and
Yeah.
they had a dome just like that. It was called the Crystal
Yeah.
Palace, I think.
Uh-huh.
And I believe that was the inspiration behind behind this thing right here.
Yeah, this is one of the things you can see, from different angles, and I could never remember what this was.
Right.
but I think it was because now the lobby was that way, right? Or
I
not?
think so. Yeah, that's right. That's where
And-
you would check
And
in.
the dining, and I thought that the dining room was on this side of the lobby, and that's right then.
Right.
This is the dining room.
That's right. Yeah.
And then the next thing, I don't know what it is.
And I saw there was a walkway over to the tower,
Yeah.
which is in this direction, out the
Yeah.
doors here.
Let me
Um,
look on the other side to see if you can see anything back here, if it's just a dead wall.
A lot of stained glass work over here.
It's just a wall here.
Yeah. So here we are at the Antioch International Church, which is also known as the Barn. And this is the studio where they shot the PTL Club. So me and my dad, after wandering around aimlessly, took me a while to figure out that the place is literally right across the street from the upper room thing that we were just at. And so it's not always easy to figure this stuff out. But anyway, we have arrived, and let's see what we can see inside. Hopefully they'll let us in there and we can see what the stage and everything look like. The pastor here was kind enough to let us into this building so we could get a little bit of video footage. Oh my God, this is it. Wow.
Come on through.
Look at that. So this is where they shot, this is where we were at then to see the show.
Yeah,
Yeah.
these bleachers would have been all the way out halfway through the room.
Wow.
You still can, but we collapsed them for big trade show.
I remember being this big.
Oh, it was big, all right. Yeah. Look at that. My goodness, man. And now it's owned by the Antioch International Church. And this kind gentleman from Canada was nice enough to let us into this place.
Wearing an England shirt today, but
Yeah, you're right. You guys are doing World Cup,
Yeah,
you're
watch
saying,
parties, yeah.
kind of event? Yeah.
for the community.
Cool. I think USA actually, didn't we win something recently with that? I can't remember what happened there.
Yeah, they qualified for the World Cup, but yeah.
We qualified, yeah. For USA, that's pretty good.
That's a good
Because
start.
I don't think we're known for our soccer. We're more
Not so much.
old school foot, or well,
American.
whatever you American football. Yeah, not old school. But yeah, this is where we went and saw the show. And oh yeah, look at the kind of the rafters. You can see where the lighting and stuff.
The other side of this curtain here is actually one of the largest green screens in the Carolinas.
Yeah.
Really?
We it was already here when we were here, but we made it bigger. So
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
Do you guys do events here and
So
stuff? What
yeah,
do you do?
part of we're able to have commercials that are shot here, and some movie scenes can be shot here,
Oh,
and then
yeah.
we do
Wow.
big trade shows and dance competitions in this
good.
room, and
Yeah.
as well as Christian concerts and things like
Uh-huh.
that. So yeah,
Yeah.
Any movies that we would?
probably not. It's
No?
a more small scale stuff. Or
I see.
The God's Not Dead next movie might be filmed here, so
Right.
we're waiting to hear from them on that.
And what
yeah.
bands have you had here that?
Big Daddy Weave and New Song, and trying to think who else. My brain is not
Drawn a
working, but
blank.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm probably not current on my Christian
Sure, yeah.
music. You know, I was into it back when, back in the days of Phil Keaggy and Daniel Amos and some of those
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
bands from those
Sure.
older school bands. I don't.
Yeah.
Well, my
Um,
grandmother and my mother came from Canada.
Okay.
They lived just over the border.
Oh, that's
somewhere,
right. Yeah, Grandma Swigert,
Near
Canada.
I can't think of the fall.
Niagara Falls.
Niagara Falls.
Well, that's where my wife
Yeah.
is from.
Oh,
She
you
grew up
see?
in Niagara
Yeah.
Falls, yeah.
And my wife and I went to Niagara Falls for our honeymoon
Oh, wonderful.
too. But
Yeah, we got married there.
and my
Oh, wow,
and
yeah.
my grandmother was an Episcopalian.
Yeah,
And she got us into the church.
yeah.
And she told me if we had 7 in the family, and we're broke because it was in the 30s.
Yeah.
And she said, I'll buy you a pair of shoes if you will be an acolyte. So I was an acolyte
Wow.
until I had to move the Bible one time. The bishop was there from Chicago,
Mhm.
and I was in a little town in Batavia. But I had to carried this big Bible, and I was a little kid.
Yep.
And I was walking around the side of the altar, and the bishop had set his hat down there. And I came around and I didn't see the hat. I stepped on it.
Oh no.
And it went crunch.
Oh no.
Into the church. And that's the last time I was in that class. I was so embarrassed. I didn't want to get out there again.
Dear.
So that about does it for today. Closing the Roundabout with Dan. I think this is episode 5 from the PTL studios, or the former PTL studios, current Antioch International Church. So it's been an adventure. It's kind of one thing I will say about going to Heritage USA now is it's actually owned by 3 different churches. And so it takes a little bit of investigating. You can't just go to a website and look up Heritage USA and find out what the hours and addresses and everything are. So it took a little bit of jumping around and asking people questions to figure out where everything was at. But anyway, I hope this has been educational and enjoyable view for you. And do hit the subscribe button, and you'll be informed of future trips I have planned. A couple interesting things. I'm going to be going to Sao Paulo, Brazil, to visit some locations where the Tropicalia musical movement was started, and some other cool things over there. Check out the food and everything. And also have plans to go to Oyotunji Village in South Carolina, an African village in South Carolina. So I have a few interesting places coming up soon to visit. So I hope you guys will check it out and find it, try to make these things a little bit educational and a little bit of a learning adventure. So anyway, thank you for watching. Hit subscribe, and we will see you in the next episode.